This
Probably
fun-filled information session.
usually we have, we get people starting in a little bit late, so we'll probably have to give it about 5 minutes, Luke, and then I'll kick it off for us.
Okay.
Hey, Søren, good to see you.
Good evening, Søren, or afternoon, I guess. Rockin'. I really should have played some music. Just don't know what the best music would be for something like this. What would you pick, Siobhan? What type of music would you play at an opening?
It's your day, anything that you pick.
How about you, Hazel? What music would you love to hear? Classical, rock and roll, jazz?
Yeah, good question. Maybe, yeah, jazz. Jazz is something I like. So yes.
Smooth jazz elevator music.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Awesome. Oh, that's a good, make sure people are coming in muted. That's good. That way, there's a lot of feedback. So that's true. If you're just hopping on, feel free to mute yourself. We're gonna kick off the presentation in probably 5 little minutes as people are filtering in. Exciting. Oh, somebody, McCool, you sound like you're in a restaurant.
The buzz of a busy office, I'm sure.
Love it. Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning.
Marissa is our international admissions counselor, so she'll be on the call with us.
So Marissa, you got the early morning shift today.
Sort of. I think Luke's got the more of a morning person vibe going on, but I'm on the call at least.
I think Luke has a vibe. I think Luke's a night owl and a morning person at the same time. I get the sense that Luke's always like cheerful and happy.
Just in my nature, I guess, baked into my DNA. That's what it's like at Thomas College. Everybody's ready to roll.
That's
ready to make dreams come true.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. So the green screen. Interesting. Sorry, I'm playing with my water bottle.
You're an avatar set over there.
That's right. That's right. My green screen. Good day, Yogaswari. Welcome. All right, we've got 40 people that are registered, and so we're going to wait a little bit as they come in. But we aren't going to hold this train up too long because we all know that you guys have busy afternoons, and our day's just getting started over here. While we wait, I'm going to ask a question, and if you guys could answer in the chat, I think that would be pretty fun. What is your favorite thing to do after work? Because it's 4:30. It's towards the end of the day. If you could type in what it is that you like to do after work, please feel free to type it into the chat. And if you say, listen to awesome presentations about higher education, you get bonus points. Have a beer, go for a walk.
Søren stole mine before I could get to it. I mean, who doesn't like to have a beer after work, right?
That is true. There's a weird answer for you. Bowling.
Do you really bowl, Luke?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, just last Friday, a team from Thomas College went to a professional networking bowling event that they had down in the capital city of Maine, and we won 7th place. They had prizes for 1st place and 7th place, and we won 7th. So there you go.
Congratulations. We didn't know that we were in such illustrious company today.
What can I say? What can I say? We won $50.
We'll give it maybe one more minute here, Luke, and then kick it off. I'm sure some people will join as we go through. If not, we can share the presentation with them that's being recorded after. So let's give it one last minute and we'll kick it off.
Sounds wonderful. We're up to 20 participants. Good afternoon, Sue. I almost said good morning, but good afternoon and welcome. Real quiet in the chat window on what people like to do after work.
Guess they don't like to chat and type in the chat.
That's right. That's what they don't like to do after work, is they don't like to type in the chat.
I'm still at work.
Oh, well, awesome. What would you like to do after work, Sue?
Usually I spend an awful lot of my time at the theatre.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm the chairman of a repertory society in Zimbabwe, plus a director and an actor and what have you in my own right. So that's what I do after. That's the job that doesn't pay me.
But it's the one that fills your cup.
100%.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. And with that, we're sitting at 6:05. Would you like to kick it off, Mike?
Yeah, 100%. So it's real happy for me today to be able to welcome everyone to this webinar on Thomas College. I'm excited from a LUMS perspective. First, a quick introduction from me. My name is Mike Henniger, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer from LUMS Student Advisory Service. I think I know everyone on this call, all the names that I've seen so far. I'm all familiar names and faces. So thank you for supporting us in this webinar. And I think a lot of you know LUM and our history of you think of us as leading in Canadian education, and that's where Karun and myself, a lot of our senior leadership team have come from the Canadian context, and we've been promoting Canadian universities and colleges for quite some time. But I'm really excited to add distinct new products to the LUM portfolio, and that's one of the reasons that I'm so happy to be working with Luke and his team at Thomas College. I find that in education and the promotion that we do in terms of working with recruiting students and speaking with families, it can be very difficult because there's so much education product that's the same. What's really different? And when I speak about this, I often use the example of a MBA program, an ad that you'll see in a magazine for an MBA program. And every MBA ad basically looks the same. It's three really well-dressed, good-looking young professionals staring at a MacBook Air in a boardroom, looking like this very intently. That's an MBA ad. And I think education, we've done a bad job really of promoting the differences that we have from school to school, destination to destination. And I know as our agent partners and our recruitment partners around the world, one of the things that you have to do and that you're very good at is when a student and a family comes into your office, you're able to differentiate different products, affordability, accessibility, location, all of these things. And when I introduced Thomas College here, I think it's really naturally differentiated for us. Luke, I'm sure, is going to touch on some things about the community that Thomas College is in, the affordability of the community and of the programs, the really caring nature of the people at the institution and in the neighboring community. So I think these things are going to stand out for you. Thomas College, I'll be honest, is not a school that any of us are going to send 450 students per year to. That's not the type of product we have. We believe it's the type of product where we can find 3 to 5 to maybe 10 students a year that are a right fit for the school and place them there and be completely confident that they're going to be taken care of and supportive in a fantastic way. I have an expression, and as I get older in the work that I do, and older, and my staff might say grumpier, I'm not sure, older anyways, more and more I've decided that I really just want to work with people that I like. And I have a rule, and I know, Surin, you put in the chat that after work, one of the things that you like to do is go for a beer. I also like to go for a beer after work, and I like to go for a beer with friends and colleagues that I like. And more, I want to work with people that I would enjoy having a beer with. Well, I've had a beer with my good friend Luke from Thomas College, and every person that I meet from this institution are people that I automatically like. They're here and work for the right reasons. They support their students, they support the community, and they support their partners. So one thing that I can guarantee about working with Thomas College, and you have my personal word on this, is that the support they'll give you as a partner and the support that they'll give your students won't be surpassed by any other school. They will take care of each and every one of our students. So, Luke is really committed to what he does. He's a passionate person and he really lives and breathes this stuff. So, Luke, I'm going to pass it over to you to go through there. Thanks for taking the time to meet with our team and with our recruitment partners to share about the good things that you're doing at Thomas College. So I'll pass it over to you. The floor is yours, sir. Let's hear a little bit about what makes Thomas College great.
Thank you very much, Mike. And thank you all for taking the time out of your afternoon to learn more about Thomas College. My name is Luke Shorty. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives at Thomas College. And one of our strategic initiatives is the internationalization of Thomas College, which is something that we haven't really focused on in our long history of 100+ years. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Thomas today. There are a lot of slides here, a lot of information coming your way. If you don't get it all, don't worry about it. We're recording this and you can always reach out to either Mike or Siobhan or myself or Marissa or other folks on the call. There'll be a contact card at the end. Then I'll leave it on for a bit so you can record some of those contacts down so you know who to reach out to as we go forward. But there'll be about 5 salient points that you're going to hear today that I hope you take away from this presentation. 1 is the safety of where we're located. 2 is that the students that attend Thomas College can expect to be known. 3 is what we do to make sure that we are a pathway to a promising future guaranteed through our professional and career development services. 4 will be some of our key programs and our accelerated way of doing it. And 5 will be our affordability. So those are your 5 takeaways. Don't worry, if you didn't get them all there, you're going to hear them throughout this presentation. So let's hop in. You can see both behind me and on your screen, Thomas College's campus, which is in beautiful, lovely Maine, which is a state in New England. Where that is located is right here. We are the upper northeast part of the United States. We are hugged by Canada, Quebec Providence on the left, and New Brunswick here on the right, and then, of course, the wonderful Atlantic Ocean. We were established in 1894. We're on a beautiful little river, and I want to highlight this point right here. Consistently, time in and time out, the state of Maine has been ranked the safest state in the United States by U.S. News and World Report. And that's one of the things that I know is important for a lot of our families when they're sending their students or their children overseas, especially to the United States, where some people are concerned about safety in the U.S. So Maine is one of the safest, it is the safest state in the nation, and Waterville's a really safe little town. So where in Maine are we located? We're located in Waterville, which is down in the southern mid-coast area of Maine. We're by some of the state's best golf courses, outdoor hiking, whitewater rafting. If you like some shopping opportunities, the LL Bean outlet is open 24/7, 365 days a week. No locks on those doors. We've got a bunch of different film festivals, and we do have a vibrant international restaurant population here in the state. But now let's focus a little bit on the college. So if you aren't muted, please do make sure that your microphone is muted. I know some people are coming on and I'm hearing some of that background noise, so please make sure you're muted.
And
So,
Luke, you mind if I hop in with a quick comment
yes,
here?
of
Just as you go, I don't
course.
want to interrupt your flow, but I don't want to just glaze over that safety piece. Again and again, survey after survey shows that parents around the world still #1 concern in choosing a destination of where their child's going to go is that safety ranks as the most important factor again and again. And I think even as seasoned recruitment professionals, we sometimes, we just assume that people think that the destination is safe. And you know, more and more we hear stories of main destinations, Canada, Australia, the US, the UK, stuff happening to international students. And we know this is always in the back of the mind. And everyone says that their community is safe, but Thomas College community is as safe as it can possibly get. So just a quick thing to reinforce how important a point that is. Well, it seems obvious. It's just something that I would lead with every family and every student as being one of the key value propositions of why they should go there, because it's truly going to be in a safe community. Sorry, Luke, don't want to mess up your flow.
No, you're not messing it up at all. I think it is important to hit on. Like, for example, I actually ran a independent school up in central Maine called Lee Academy that recruited all over the world and had campuses both in Shanghai and in South Korea. And that was one of the things we heard time and time again from parents, is how comfortable they felt sending their parents to Lee Academy or to Maine. And I'm from the Waterville area, actually. I grew up 15 minutes from Thomas College. And not uncommon for me to leave the keys in my car unlocked in my driveway at my home. It's a very safe area. But about Thomas College, the campus itself, it's home to about 1,000 students. That's undergraduate and on-campus graduate from 22 states, 12 different countries this year. Our class size, as you can see, is 15-1, and 94% of our students receive some form of financial aid. And that's not just U.S. financial aid. That's also, as a private college, we have some financial aid that we can award to international students as well, because we're committed to that affordability. And you'll see later in the slideshow what we have for scholarship opportunities, as well as the financial aid we offer. We are an NCAA Division III athletics school, so we do not offer sports scholarships, but we do definitely compete well. If anyone was watching ESPN Plus 2 days ago, you would have seen our basketball team actually on there. We got a opportunity to play actually against a Division I school. And even though we lost, it was really exciting to see Thomas College on ESPN. But if you think about the size of Thomas College, right, and that ratio, 15-1, it's really clear that if a student attends Thomas College, not only will they be safe, but they can expect to be known. They can expect to be known by their classmates, by their faculty members, by their coaches if they play a sport, by administration. It is not uncommon for our president to be able to call students out by name and say hello to them. We'll learn a little bit more about our president in the up and coming slides. And you'll also see that because of our reputation in the sectors of business where we tend to have our students focus their majors, they can expect to be known in those sectors as well and what they're looking to do. So that's the second takeaway, is expect to be known. It's the small community where it feels like family. If you watch any of our YouTube videos, a lot of times when you hear people say, what's one word that comes to mind when you hear Thomas, it'll be family or community. So what is uniquely Thomas College? Our PCD program, which we'll talk about in a slide coming up, is important. Part of that is a program we have called the Guaranteed Job Program. Part of that program, there are a set of guidelines. You have to maintain a certain GPA. You have to get an internship. There are a couple innovation challenges, things along those lines. But if you do everything in that program, Thomas College actually guarantees a job within 6 months of graduating from Thomas College. And since 1998, when we established it, I think we've had to pay back on that guarantee 5 times. So we've got an amazing track record of placing students into the workforce. We lock in our tuition. So say, for example, you attend Thomas College next fall, and for whatever reason, we have to increase our tuition. The tuition that you came in at is the tuition you're locked in at for the entirety of your program. We've got a golf networking program because we know that a lot of business, especially if you're in our graduate MBA program, we'll teach you how to play golf because a lot of business is done on the links. Digital badging is interesting. So digital badging is where students actually get badges or certificates to show that they have some soft skills that employers are usually looking at. That could be having difficult conversations, or persistence, or time management. And through this badging process, it gives students a way to demonstrate and show they have the skill sets that our employers are looking for. They go out into the workforce. And then the President's Innovation Challenge is kind of like Shark Tank meets entrepreneurship. We have students who actually are tackling real world problems, both out in the community. Community organizations and employers will come to us with issues that they're experiencing. Our students come up with solutions to it and pitch them to the community. So these are types of things that make us unique as we prepare students for their future. Where are our alumni? Where do they come from, right? Okay, so you say this, Luke, but can you show it to me? And I want to talk to you a little bit about our president. Lori LaChance is our current Thomas College president. She got her MBA at Thomas in 1992. She was the Maine state economist for the entire state of Maine under 3 governors, a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. And usually those positions tend to be, can be fairly partisan. But our president navigated that with plum and success. And on top of that, she ran Maine Development Foundation, which is the state of Maine's economic hub. So through the connections that she's developed through her professional career, she brings that to Thomas College in helping our students land their dreams in the future. We've got a young man, Javier, who is now working at Facebook in their WhatsApp division. We've got people who have gone on to be VPs, and Katie McAllister actually was named one of the top 30 realtors under the age of 30 in the entire country. And she graduated just in 2018. So we really like to promote the success we have and getting our students out into the workforce and into successful careers. What's our undergraduate structure look like? It's very common to have 121 credit hours to complete, but what isn't common, and this talks to one of the key things that will also differentiate us, is we have a 3-year option, right? So if you take some courses over the summer, you can get your degree that usually takes 4 years in 3 years. And we'll talk about the 3+1 program a little bit further, where you can add a year to it and get your master's degree. And to me, and Mike, maybe you're seeing this in the field as well, if you can save time and money, because you aren't paying for the credits, you're paying for the years. So you can get, for the cost of a 4-year education, you can get both your bachelor's and an MBA on top of that. That's pretty phenomenal to save time and money. And I know that used to be a big important thing. Is that something you're still seeing in the market?
Yeah. I mean, I think that stands out for me as we've had our talks and gone through our training on Thomas Colleges. I think the 3+1 of being able to get that undergrad and an MBA at a very affordable price in a very efficient manner, it's a standout for me for sure, Luke. Yeah.
And so we stand by that, because if you go through the accelerated program and you do everything in the guaranteed jobs program, that makes a really bright pathway for, if you're not a U.S. citizen, an OPT position, optional practical training position. And then from there, hopefully a pathway to a full-time job, whether that's in the U.S. or companies back in their sending country. For example, I just came back from a recruiting trip in Sweden. And while I was there, I actually made some connections to some businesses and some industries that are interested in having interns. And that builds up Thomas College's network to help students from Sweden, if they aren't able to get an H-1B visa, find a pathway to a job back in their country, or finding connections with companies that have offices in the U.S. and coming up with pathways to an L visa for employment, and not just the H-1B, which everybody tries to get, but there's the lottery for. So what do we offer? All right, you've got all this great stuff, but is it something, do you have things that students are interested in? So here's just a list of of what we have for offerings, and the big ones for us are criminal justice is a big one. Cybersecurity is another large one. In our School of Arts and Sciences, those tend to be the big pieces right there. So in criminal justice, if you had students that were interested in law enforcement or conservation law or any job in the security field, right? One of the things we know about economics is that it's hard for areas economic development to flourish if it's not secure or safe. People don't like going out shopping if it's dangerous to do so. And so one of the things that our criminal justice department does is it works closely with folks, because it's such a small campus, in interdepartmental areas, right? Like we just are launching a criminal justice cyber program where you can do a little bit of both. And they work closely with folks in our business school as well. Cybersecurity, we work closely with, somebody's grabbed control. Hold on one second. Take that control. No. There, let me, one quick second. So, one of the things with CS is we work closely with the FBI, our students do. There's a kind of student/collegiate partnership that we do with the FBI. And one great story we have is in Maine, it's a very rural area. And one of our young men came from a lobstering family. So he goes off in the ocean, they lobster and stuff like that. And he wanted to do criminal justice, but found out he had a knack for cyber and cybersecurity. And now is in Arizona working for a cybersecurity firm down there. So from harvesting lobsters to the desert, we've got a pretty good track record in having students find where their passion is and nurturing them in that. Our business school, we've got a large offering of undergraduate studies in the business school. The big ones here are obviously business administration, marketing is another big one, and entrepreneurship. The U.S. is known for being entrepreneurial, and that's no different here in the state of Maine. As a matter of fact, our professional and career development office is run by our VP, our Vice President of Innovation, Mike Duguay, who actually worked with folks down in a small bank you might have heard of called JP Morgan to start Maine's largest natural gas company called Summit Gas. So he's been in the entrepreneurship and economic development game his whole career and has come to Thomas to help take those skills and translate them to students. So again, popular ones are business administration. If you're into becoming an executive management or nonprofit leadership and management, this may be a good option for you. A lot of our students, about 50% of them, are athletes. And so many of them are interested in sports management because it's one of the fastest growing industries worldwide. And so our sports management degree helps prepare you to thrive in those aspects of this burgeoning career. If you look at athletics and sports management as a whole, it's just not the athletes and the coaches, right? You've got trainers. There's a whole business around it. There's a reason why athletes can get paid the large sums that they're paid because of the business model, and they need people to help support that business. We help prepare students. We have an education school, mostly focused on the U.S. education style and credentialing. It goes all the way from early childhood education up to secondary education. Students that participate in the education field do get certified in the state of Maine, and that certification would be good in many international schools. I don't know if in India you have the development of international schools like there are in Southeast Asia and in China, but if you do, a student who would like to pursue a career in that field, could get credentialed here in Maine and then work in an international school that would be looking for teachers who are trained in the US style of education. So there's an option for any students you may know who are interested in an education pathway. We do have a graduate school, and for international students, we only really have two offerings. We have our MBA in business administration, and we have an MBA in accounting. But I want to put an asterisk around the MBA in accounting. That's the US accounting system. So if you got your undergraduate in accounting in a different country that's not the US accounting standards, this would not be the right fit for that student. They really need to know the US accounting standards. So this would be good for a student who may be already in the US or got their degree in the US accounting system to come to Thomas to get their MBA in accounting. And that graduate program requires a co-curricular practical training. So there's a curricular practical training program to it. They work with accounting firms through that MBA. And so that's why it's important that they understand the US accounting. So just another example of the business administration degree at the graduate level. This is for people who are looking to be CEOs, chief operating officers. If they want to start their own business, this would be a good move for them. Auditors, accountants, that's where the MBA in accounting goes for. You've all heard that one before. So let's keep going on to some of our more unique features. Here's that 3+1 accelerated pathway that Mike and I were talking about. So if you obtain a 3.4 GPA the whole time, and once you're enrolled, you maintain that 3.4 GPA. You take 6 courses per semester, and then from there, you just transfer directly into a master's program in year 4. That tuition remains the same all 4 years, right? So you pay for 4 years, and basically you get 5 years and come out with a graduate credential.
Luke, one of the things that stood out to me about the grad programs, and are you going to talk a little bit later on in the presentation about the entrance requirements and the accessibility of the grad programs in terms of language requirements? Do you come back to that?
Oh, absolutely. I just want to show you what you have, because then once you see that, you'll be like, well, then the next question is, how do we get in?
And that's a real, as we segue into that, I just want to kind of point the direction that this is another real advantage that you're going to see, that these are very accessible programs, especially the graduate programs. So yeah, sorry, Luke, I just want to make sure we're not skipping a key point.
Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. I'm glad you're keeping me on the track. Sometimes, if you haven't noticed, I can be like squirrel and go off on a tangent. So keep me focused. All right, we ready to move on? Give me some thumbs up if you're on the screen. I guess some thumb. There we go. Rockin'. How about you, Hazel? You ready to roll? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. There we go. Oh, nice. The emoji thumbs up. Rockin'. So, professional career development. Again, that's one of those things where we look to be that pathway to a promising future guaranteed. And the PCD department helps do that. What do? We help define your goals, develop a plan of action on where you want to go to. We have something called, this is a list of some of the employees that we've sent students to, our partner companies that we do internships with. But some of the stuff they do is they help manage that guaranteed job program, right? So again, that's maintaining, I believe the GPA is 3.5. So you have to maintain a high GPA. You've got to do an internship. You go through the badging program to make sure you're career ready. You put all of these things together. And if you do all of those things, we guarantee that you have a job within 6 months of graduate. And it's very rare to find institutes that will do that. So what do the internships look like? You actually can get credit for your internship. So if you did a 150-hour internship, you get 3 credits. You can get up to 9 credits through our internship program. Every single one of our arts and science students, every single one, 100%, are required to take an internship, and about 3/4 of our business students participate in internships. And we're working to get that up to 100%. They use a piece of software called Handshake, which helps match employers to interns. And that way you can make sure it's a good match. And the internships are paid, by the way. We also have something called Fire and Ice, which stands for finance, insurance, real estate, information technology, criminal justice, and entrepreneurship, where we offer credentialing in those sectors, whether it's your real estate license, insurance licensures, finance credentialing, if you want it to be in securities. We do things like that, usually through Kaplan, but we end up paying for students to take some of these credentials that make them stand out to their employers when they're out looking for a job. Don't know if you've heard of Clifton Strength Finders, but Gallup, which is a large polling institute here in America, in the US, does this thing called Clifton Strength Finders. It finds your individual strengths as a person. And out of those individual strengths, it gives you your top 5. And we have people trained at Thomas to work with you on how to leverage those top 5 strengths, right? Like one of mine is positivity. How do I use positivity to overcome challenges and things of that nature? We'll help train students on how to use them. How do you build a resume? How do you do a job interview? These are the things that PCD does for our students, because it's not just about getting the degree, but it's about what happens afterwards. What we have for student clubs and activities, just a very active campus activities board. Those are the students who develop these activities that students are interested in, and some annual activities that help make us a community are things like Campus Convocation, which is happening next week. It's like a campus-wide family dinner in the US Thanksgiving style. A winter carnival is a week-long event where you celebrate winter, because we do have snow here in Maine, and it's fun to go out and enjoy it. Summer send-off at the end of the year, we have a big party, and then in the spring, we've got a Dirty Dog mud run where you run through the mud in the woods here in Maine, and a fun-filled race. I want to talk about breaks, and then we're going to start getting into room and board, and then what it takes to get accepted and apply to Thomas College. So we do have 4 breaks where campus closes. You've got a Thanksgiving break, which is a small one, spring break, which is a short one, but our winter break and our summer breaks are longer. If for some reason a student's like, I cannot afford to leave campus in Thanksgiving or in the winter, we do make exceptions to this rule, and we do have break housing available. They just need to fill out a form, let us know why they won't be able to leave campus, and we usually make that happen. But what we usually see is international students end up making friends with local students, and they end up spending their breaks with their friends off from campus. So it's rare that we have to provide break housing, because it feels like such a community and such a family. Most of the time, everybody's got a buddy or a friend they've made here in the United States, and they go and they stay with them. We'll quickly go through the housing. So first year, because for some of our financial aid, you do have to remain on campus. Housing is an important one. So there are two first-year housing units or dormitories, Grant, Parks, and Heath, which is this one right here. As you can see where my hand is pointing, that's GPH. Oh no, pardon me. GPH is this one right here. So there's GPH. And it's has 3 floors. It's separate bathrooms and laundry facilities. It's kind of your traditional dormitory. But down on the bottom floor is where our health center is located. Some of the amenities that we have, the usuals that you would see in a regular dormitory, kitchenette and laundry facilities, they're able to take care of that stuff. Hinman, which is this one right here, it's our newest residence hall. It's also a first-year one. They've got pods, wings, where you've got 1 community assistant and about 27 students. Got quiet study rooms, a 24-hour computer lab, some workstations, and a full kitchen there. And then upperclassmen housing, there are other options. Townhouses, which is our apartment style living. Village, which you have your own private bathroom, which is kind of nice. It's got its own little quad. And then Bartlett Hall is one of our other newer ones. That's suite style living. So, you'd be able to find like 5 5 or 6 of your favorite friends, kind of have your own little apartment complex, but it's all located in one large. Food and dining. What do you do to eat? That's actually right over this shoulder. There's our student center. And in that student center is where the dining center is. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days a week. You've got a bunch of different options. I was just talking to a potential student who has type 1 diabetes. They were concerned coming to the United States into Thomas College in rural Maine. How do we take care of that? Well, actually, we're celebrating Diabetes Awareness Month this month here at Thomas College, and we do make accommodations for dietary restrictions, whether it's allele or kosher or lactose-free. There are options for everybody in our dining facility. They won't go hungry. Dog Pound is open late, so if you need a late night snack, that's there. And Jeannie's Cafe is our own little Starbucks center in our academic building. But let's get down to the nuts and bolts of how to apply. This is what Mike was talking about a little bit earlier. How is it that you apply to Thomas College? Very easy. If you go to our website, which is www.thomas.edu, you can go down on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a green bar, and it's got the pathway to applying to Thomas College. The one on the far right is apply to Thomas College. We also accept the common application, require a college essay, an official high school transcript, which we will look at internally, a letter of recommendation. The declaration of finance form shows that once you find out that you've been accepted, that you can afford to attend Thomas. Copy of the official passport, and then of course we require TOEFL, IELTS, and we accept Duolingo. TOEFL, we need a score of 70 or better. IELTS is a 5.5, and Duolingo is 105 or better. So those are the thresholds on English as a second language. And then obviously, go for it, Mike. I see you got a thought.
Yeah. So again, jumping in, obviously that's a pretty clear differentiator, that 5.5 IELTS, giving us a good band for a student who maybe doesn't have the English to get into some of the colleges that we're working with in Canada or other places. Definitely allows for some flexibility to get into there. So I think that's a really important key. I'm hoping that you're catching. And then just one other thing about the admissions piece. I know there's a lot of information and there's a new product. Just to highlight again that Siobhan is the representative for Illume that oversees our work with Thomas College. So any questions at any time that you have about this, or if you have a potential student, just make sure you're reaching out to Siobhan and he'll be able to guide you through any of this process. So call him day or night. You can call Siobhan any time of the day, right, Siobhan?
Siobhan never sleeps. So one thing that's also important as we pause on this one is this piece right here, optional materials. You don't need to do this, but it's going to be critical if affordability is important to your family. The CSS profile. If you do not fill out the CSS profile, you won't get any further scholarship or financial aid. This is on the College Board's website, College Board CSS profile. You won't get any more financial aid or scholarship other than your merit scholarship for your GPA. Okay, so that's important. If you're looking to make sure that this is an option within the price point of the families and students you're working for, that CSS profile is critical.
And Luke, can I
yes.
say something real fast?
Please, by all means.
So for CSS profiles, we use that too because we have to create what's called a cost of attendance sheet for the students so that they can have a statement for their bank to sign. So if the student doesn't want to fill out their CSS profile, it would be nice to know so that way we can proceed with the cost of attendance and not have to wait for that extra step. Typically, I wait for the extra step for them to fill out the CSS profile so that I know that when I'm sending them the cost of attendance, I don't have to create it 5-6 times because of all the different awards that they're going to get.
Good thinking. So if they aren't going to fill out that CSS profile, let us know. Sue had a great question, and the answer is no, they won't have to take the TOEFL or the IELTS or the Duolingo if they went through their curriculum, and their curriculum was in English, and they were successful in getting through that curriculum and receiving their high school diploma from an English-speaking curriculum, no problem. So thumbs up to that. Now, what does the scholarship opportunities look like at the undergraduate level? So merit scholarships were extremely generous, right? $18,000 US a year if your GPA is a 3.2 or higher. It's $9,000 a semester. 14 is the next level, and 10 is the third one. Renew will answer, if you want to put your admissions question in the chat box, we'll thread it in. So Renew, just put your admissions question in the chat window. We have a Welcome to Maine scholarship, which is another $2,000 for non-Maine residents. So many of your students aren't Maine residents. I can almost guarantee that none of the students you work with are Maine residents. So they will, just for not being from Maine and filling out the CSS profile, get another $2,000 on top of the merit scholarship. And then further financial aid comes from that CSS profile. Let's talk about graduate admissions and applications as well. This is important, and Renew, it may also tie into whatever your question will be once it hits the chat window. You complete the graduate application, which is also on our website. And if you go through that bar and you hit apply, you have the option to select graduate. You'll send your official transcript to SpanTran for evaluation. So if you are in the subcontinent, or it's a higher education program that we aren't familiar with, SpanTran is the easiest and best way to go through and get that evaluation done. When you go through SpanTran, obviously there will be a cost to it, but it's a discounted cost because we've partnered with them. It'll be $150 to do the general transcript analysis and verification. With that, if your student applies to Thomas, gets accepted, and enrolls, we'll take that $150 and we'll credit to their deposit. The deposit to attend Thomas is only $300, so it really cuts the deposit in half. We've got a couple of questions on the in the chat room here, and I think Karuna's hand is up as well. So let me do this. I'm going to go through Renew's question, and then we'll call on Karuna. Is the applying as if the student is applying through the Common App, there's an essay already in it. I believe we accept that essay. Is that correct, Marissa?
Can you
I
repeat
believe
that?
that's-
Sorry.
So the Common App has an essay in it. We accept that essay, I believe, as part of their
Correct.
application. They don't need to write a second
And
essay.
And the Common App also has a reference attached to that. So we accept everything that's attached through the Common App.
Correct. And the WES evaluation we will accept, but we probably won't credit that to the, I can check to see if we can credit what they paid to WES will be credited to their deposit. So Renew, that is a homework assignment for me. I'll see if we can get the WES fee waived from deposit. Great question. Karuna, your hand is up. Thank you for the question.
Sorry, I'm
No
late
need to
because
apologize.
I was given a certain time and I am sitting at PST. So
Oh.
complete apologies. I am going to ask you to send the presentation because I will initiate these, I would say, promotion of these programs in East Africa. Hazel and myself are traveling through Africa all the way to Madagascar for next 21 days. I have a couple of short questions. I think you've covered it already. In the admission criteria, you have spoken about the statement of purpose or the essay. The content of that, is there a structure that we need to follow? Because students can write you 3 pages of SOP. We restrict at universities 1 page and we give a direction as to what it should include. And we don't want any major references for teachers because students will only go to teachers who are going to give good references. So what is the criteria for the SOP or the essay that you're asking? And secondly, do you want us to mention that they can contact these teachers? Because it's a very I'm sorry, the big universities require somebody
Sure.
to verify that these are the students. So those are the two questions. And third one, I don't know if you covered that you take predicted grades or not. I would really like to know if you make early application, would you go with predicted grades from the teachers to make a decision?
When it's for undergraduate, we do that. We actually, in the US, we usually, we have people who are applying who don't know what their senior grades are yet. And that's okay. We'll look at the previous grades they have. And then if they have like a progress report or predictive grades, that will be fine. When it comes to letters of rec, it doesn't necessarily have to be a teacher. It could be a coach. It could be like if as an agent you have a strong relationship with them, that could be a potential letter of recommendation. We just want somebody who is not a family member of the applicant to be able to talk towards this student's qualifications and ability to go to higher education and be successful. With the SOP, that's a great question, and I'm wondering if Marissa is still on the call. I know she was traveling, but I don't see her still on the call. Marissa?
I'm still here.
Do you know what the prompt is for the essay?
So there's a bunch of different prompts depending on how you go about it. On the Common App, I know one of the prompts is to describe a moment in your life that has changed your views on life or has made you think. But honestly, we take any sort of essays that describes who the student is, both whether it's why they want to study in America, why they want to come to college, an event in their life that has changed who they are or has been difficult for them and how they've overcome that. So there's a bunch of different options that they can choose. The Common App has those prompts listed for them. Otherwise, if they're just sending in an application or an essay with our application, if they write an essay about who they are, we accept that.
Thank you.
Awesome. So good. I hope that answered your question, Karuna.
Absolutely. Thank you
Okay,
so
'cause
much.
You're very welcome. It's just a way for us to get to know the applicant better as an individual. And again, it's towards that family feeling, right? It's about people, not heads and beds, but actual students with dreams and aspirations.
So I'm
So
just going to
what's-
ask this last philosophical question. How important is diversity for you?
Oh, it's very important. And when we say diversity, I want to be clear that diversity shows up in many different forms, whether that's faith belief, nationality, socioeconomic background is a big diversity important piece to us. We've actually been ranked by U.S. News and World Report regularly as one of the top schools in the Northeast for social mobility. Before Thomas started looking at internationalization, we actually have a lot of first generation students. We have a lot of students who are coming from poor rural parts of the United States of America. We have students from affluent parts of the United States. We feel that that diversity and that inclusion of different backgrounds, different experiences, whether that's race, nationality, socioeconomic background, we all have unique stories. And where people actually come together and become a family and share those experiences, that's where you see a lot of growth and perspective changing and life changing events happen. And so it is important to us, very much so.
Thank you.
We actually have the President's Task Force has now become the President's Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and it has been a focus for Thomas College over the last 2.5 years since the murder of George Floyd. Renew asks who we are accredited by. We are accredited by NECHI, which is the New England College and Higher Education Council on Higher Education. So as a matter of fact, our NECHI accreditation happens this year. Our visiting team comes in spring, so we're all running around making sure we have all of our information together for NECHI. For graduate application, there is 2 levels of merit scholarship because that GPA needs to be fairly high in order to be accepted to our our graduate program. Your undergraduate GPA has to be fairly high, around 2.7, 2.8. But we have 2 levels of merit scholarship. Cost of attendance, right? Okay, you can give me all the stuff. You can give me all the scholarships you want, but if it costs $500,000, 20 grand isn't going to go very far. But check it out. Here's what our tuition looks like, including room and board. That will be changing to housing and food, so it's clear what board is and stuff like that. So our total cost, even with some of the optional stuff that could potentially get waived, is $45,300 a year. Okay, so remember, if you've got merit scholarship of 18 and a Welcome to Maine scholarship of 2,000, this now becomes 43 becomes 23,000, which is very doable. And if you compare us to some of these organizations here, Cal State East Bay, SUNY Binghamton, UMass Boston, Clark University, University of Texas, we are only higher than Cal State East Bay. Every other one, we're considerably lower when it comes to our tuition comparison. What about room and board, housing and food? Absolutely, we knock it out of the park when you compare to these other institutions as well. So we are very cost effective in what we do. And our goal is to stay as a small college where you can expect to be known and we can be your pathway to a promising future, guaranteed. Because it's about young people. It's about their dreams and what they want to become in their future. And that's what we're all about at Thomas. Here's some contact info for you of people to contact. There's myself. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives. Abby Dooley is our Director of Admissions. Marissa, who's been on the call, and I thank you very much, Marissa, for being on it, is our International and Transfer Admissions Counselor. So if you have students that are already in the U.S. or are unhappy with where they're at in the undergraduate, or in Canada for that matter, and they want to transfer to a U.S. experience, you'll be working with Marissa. You've got Michaela Ziobro, who is our Senior Director of GPS, and Kristen Bishop is the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruiting. She'll be working with people on the graduate side of things. And I'll leave that on the slide for another 20 minutes. Anything you want to add, Mike, before I go to our social media slide and wrap things up?
No, I mean, I think we've dwelt on the admissions piece, which is the most important point, and I think also the advantages of the accessibility. The scholarship piece for me is very important when I look at Thomas. And then just going back, when I see the Sues and the Renews and a lot of the people that are on this call, we've worked together so closely with the Loom and your companies. Really ask you for your support in promoting Thomas College. This is our first strong foray into international student recruitment. We feel like the product is strong and has possibilities there. We need your help to get the word out, and then quite honestly, if you can help make this a priority for the coming intakes. And even, like I said, we're not looking for seeking big numbers, but a few students into the undergrad, few students into the MBA or accounting program would just be fantastic. So for me, that's kind of a final comment. And then Luke, you can move on with your next piece.
So there's your contact info slide. If you've been taking pictures with your smartphone, great. But here's also our social media stuff, so you can follow what's going on at Thomas. LinkedIn is another big one that we have our students tie into, because part of the college experience is that networking experience for professionally. Renew had asked where our nearest international airport is. Nearest is probably Logan, but the one that people will probably fly from would be JFK in New York. And you usually fly to either Portland, Maine or Bangor, Maine. What we did earlier this year is I crunched the numbers of all the international students who were coming, found the one that seemed to be the most cost effective, in time effective for students to arrive. And we had a bunch of them fly to Portland, where we would pick them up and bring them to campus. We are investigating other ways to make the travel as smooth as possible, whether that's to fly into Portland or fly into Logan and grab a bus up to Waterville, which is where we're at. We're working on that, Renew, so stay tuned as we. And so the flying time from JFK to Maine is an hour and a half. So it's 90 minutes. I just did that just a little while ago from Sweden. So there's our socials. And then, of course, I do want to thank all of you, and especially Loom, for helping us move forward on our strategic initiative to internationalize Thomas College, and to our friends over at GNet for helping tighten up our slide deck for you all today, and for all of you for taking the time, and those of you on PCT time, hats off for getting up so early. That's awesome. I thought I had it early. So wherever you are right now on the subcontinent, I'm sure the sun is setting. But here in Maine, the sun is just rising. So with that, hopefully the sun will be rising on new opportunities for the students. With that, I thank you all for the time.
Well, thank you so much for that, Luke. Again, every time we speak about Thomas College, I'm impacted by your enthusiasm and your passion for the school, which speaks a lot. And you guys, as we work together, you know, Siobhan and I have been working with some specific students and partners with Thomas College. If we have any question, there's support in any way, we can get Luke on the phone or WhatsApp at basically any time. If I message Luke, he gets back to me within the half hour, within 45 minutes. So we are able to provide that level of support. So again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to join us today. We'll be sending more information, and you're going to see us on the road representing Thomas College and getting the brand out there. Any suggestions you have about events that you think would fit, or marketing capacities that you think would be a good fit for us to consider to be able to get a good return on an investment, please bring those to our attention, and we'll definitely consider that. Last words to you, Luke.
One last thing, and if you are interested in representing Thomas College, we do have an application process, but you can get that. It's a one-page application that you can get from Siobhan and Mike, and that will lead to our contract agreement and stuff like that. And I think you'll find that also very competitive. So I just am very thankful for the opportunity. And if this starts getting some traction and some action, some traction and action, I may even be out to the subcontinent in the spring. And if so, I would love to see many of you. So with that, I wish you a great afternoon. And if you ever come over to Maine, look us up. I'll take you out for a lobster roll.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, wherever you might be. And thank you, as always, for the support for Loom and our clients. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Renew had a good question. If everyone's got to leave, no problem. Renew, we do have OPT. It is non-STEM. It's for non-STEM students. And we actually leverage what we have going on with our PCD or professional and career development offices to line up those OPT opportunities. Good question. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Luke. See you later.
Bye. See you in a little bit.
Thank you.
You're very
Thanks,
welcome.
Karina.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have
Sue.
I stopped recording? I think I've stopped recording. I'm going to stop recording now.